You don't have much time to make a great first impression on your website visitors. In fact, 50 milliseconds is how long it takes somebody to decide what they think about your site. I had no idea how long that really was. I looked it up, and blinking an eye is 300 to 400 milliseconds. So 50 milliseconds is super fast. It's not a lot of time. Another number I think you should be aware of is 5 seconds. So generally, there's this idea that we should be able to understand what a website is about in about 5 seconds. So would your website pass the 5-second test? For example, if you were an organization helping high school students with their studies, could I get that after just 5 seconds of looking at your homepage? I hope so. So that's a good test for your website. See how quickly it can be communicated, especially if you're a complex type of organization. Another number to know is that within about 10 seconds of viewing your homepage, you need to be able to communicate your value. So you have to answer that question for people of what's in it for me? Why should I spend time here? So this is a tall order, right? These are a lot of things that are important for us to keep in mind around our homepage is that, gosh, we don't have a lot of time. We have to get our message across straight away. Another thing we need to keep in mind is this idea about the fold. This idea of the fold comes from newspapers, which of course have an area that is above where it is folded, that is the most viewed place, and then people have to open it up in order to look at the stories below the fold. So I hear a lot of discussion online from nonprofit professionals about, does a fold exist? Does it not exist? This is a debate even among designers themselves. But if we look at the research, I can absolutely tell you that the fold still exists. People look more closely at items that are above the fold. The thing that is tricky is that the fold has moved a bit because we have all these different devices now of different sizes. So we have various folds we need to think about. On the left here, you can see here's a fold perhaps for a laptop. In the middle is one for a modern phone. And on the right is where a fold might appear on a older type phone, right? So you just need to keep in mind that there's various folds. So when you're planning your homepage content, be it an image or a call to action, both, news story, whatever it happens to be, you want to make sure that it's above the fold for as many people as possible. Because yes, people will scroll, some people, not everybody. And that area, that first third of your page will be viewed more than anything else. Another thing to keep in mind is to have one call to action, if at all possible. It could be donate, it could be apply, it could be see our next event, sign up for our newsletter. Whatever you decide is most important, make that the one call to action so you aren't asking people to choose between multiple things. I have seen it sometimes work with 2 calls to action, but I would suggest trying to keep it to one if at all possible. The challenge I also have encountered is that sometimes I go into a nonprofit website and there are 8 different choices, and that is too many. We want to guide our users and make it really simple. Another thing to think about in homepage design are carousels. Sadly, I'm not talking about this kind of carousel that's really beautiful and fun. I'm talking about those auto-rotating sliders that happen on many homepages still. Since 2012, I've been asking people to stop using these things because we know from research from a lot of different groups that not only do people have trouble finding items that are in the carousel, they tend to ignore them. We also know that people are annoyed by them. So those types of carousels where the picture is whipping away every 4 seconds or 5 seconds or 6 seconds, it's really hard to time when somebody's going to be looking at the picture because sometimes people scroll down and then scroll back up and then the picture zips away. So I'm going to encourage you to not use them in an auto way at all. If you have to use a carousel, you would definitely want it to be static. This is so important that I'm putting it in red saying no auto rotating carousels, please. They're very problematic. I would even ask you to think a little bit about whether a carousel or slider that is static, that can only be changed manually, is really the best tool for the job. Oftentimes people don't use them. They don't notice the little dots at the bottom showing that there's more than one image there. And sometimes they miss the little arrows on the sides. You might be better off just rotating the picture on your homepage more frequently than putting it in a carousel or slider.